morning. So, I got a question from VR about my kind of secrets of that kind of color. I did the portrait yesterday and put down some color, and I didn't show that process. Well, that's all kind of top secret, really. But just for today, I'm gonna kind of reach into my hat and take out one of my secrets. Yeah, there you go. And we're gonna show you what happens with color, how to think about color, what are all these secrets that people don't want to tell you and whatever. Well, they're not secrets, they're little things that we need to know. So, for VR and all those people that don't know how I'm putting the color down, I'm going to go in and explain it a little bit. There is a video there with the fox, and in the self-portrait there should be a lot of things there, and I'm going to kind of break it down into a very, very simple way that I work. Might not be the way to work, might not work for you, it might not be the same as all those big experts on there, but this is a way to kind of keep it fresh. This is a way to keep that excitement into your drawing and your painting, so secrets. That's why I'm dressed in black today. It's all top secret. Okay, watch the video. Don't tell anybody. Okay, enjoy the video. Okay, so we're gonna kind of talk a little bit about color, for VR and a few other people. Thanks for letting me know. Thank you for the question. It's really important for me to see what you understand and what you don't understand, so I can kind of guide you and help you in exploring your own mind. This is not about teaching you a process. That's not what my videos are for. My videos are for you to kind of free up your mind a little bit and think of things in a different way. Now my desk's at a slight tilt, so sometimes things begin to run. So I do need to kind of grab some paper and kind of touch it as it goes. So let's start. Now, the main idea for my way of working is very much about shapes. And I've been teaching you a little bit about that when I'm drawing. I try to think of circles, and I try to think of pear shapes and domes and sticks, and kind of basically putting things down. And I try not to paint things, once I've painted that shape, I try not to paint it in a perfect shape. I like to have it a little bit off, a little bit over the line or something, just to kind of, so that I'm not too precious with it. So we are going to start today, and we're going to paint up something, and we're going to kind of use a big brush. All right, and that'll kind of give you a little bit of feeling that you're not doing details. And I think sometimes when you start painting all the little details, that's the last process. For me, don't think about that. Do not think about that at this stage, okay? The more you think of all the little details, the more problems you're going to have. So we're just going to be using a very basic, there's a new one there, so you can see what it looks like when you buy them new. They're about £1 or £1.50, £2, something like that. They're very, very, very cheap. And what we're going to do, my water's a little bit dirty, but it won't matter for today because I want to kind of think of shapes. And I really love this idea of starting off with something and letting the paint, and this is very important for my way of thinking, letting the paint help you. Because sometimes you put paint down and the paint will fall in a certain style or a certain way. And I'm just going to start with a circle. Maybe we could do something very, very simple, like maybe like a turtle, okay? A turtle's like a big dome, a long stick, and then a round head. So you can see a little bit about what we're doing here with my color. And I like to put it on. I like to just let the paint go on, and I like to let it just kind of get into this shape that I've, and don't get too precious about it. Why I'm stabbing it? There's another good point. Why am I stabbing my my brush, and why am I not stroking it like a cat? And that's a very, very, very simple reason, that I want to feel some kind of texture. I want this texture of the paint to come in and help me. I want it to help me to dictate what this turtle or tortoise, or however you call them, is going to be. And the more I add this texture, I'm already starting to feel like on his body he's got these big chunky shells like a tortoise or a turtle would have. And once you just put down, and I'm being very, very, very basic here. I'm basically using one color. I'm not really going too elaborate. But if you fancy the orange that's right next to it, bring that in. Be brave, okay? Color is a very, 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 very powerful, very beautiful thing. So do not be afraid of it. A lot of people are very afraid of color. And to be honest, color is what people see in your work, you know. If you, a lot of times I do the ink drawings. Most people are not really interested in ink drawings unless you're an artist, you know. If you're an artist, you might be interested in watching me do some kind of ink drawing, and that's where all the ink's starting to. And what will happen is that people that are artists will enjoy watching me, but people don't really buy, or not in my understanding, people don't really like to buy ink drawings. So I love ink drawings. And what we're starting to do there is we're starting to bring that orange in, and we're just kind of doing the same type of thing. And we're thinking not so much at this stage about color and light and all of that type of thing. We're trying to think basically about shapes, about our old turtle that's going to be here. Maybe just I'll lower that down a little bit so I've got a little bit of a bigger shell. And this kind of blotchiness has already given me a beautiful feeling about the patterns of his shells. Okay? Now I'm thinking that each blotch here is going to be a big kind of shell on his body. And that's really, really important about this stage of it, about imagining your shapes and imagining. And once you've put down a base, you can go on then and add a little bit more of the color with less of the water in it. My page is beginning to buckle a little bit. If you go through the proper process, you can wet down your paper and you can tape it all down. But you know, for me, I like to pull it around and I like to twist it, and that for me is really starting to feel exciting. Already, it's starting to tell me, hey, there's some kind of big turtle under that. That's his shell. We're just going to dab in some of the orange there to give us some nice big lumps. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. Now that will dry reasonably quick. And I'm going to forget about that now. That is my base. And once it dries, I can start to add my next level of paint, my next level of detail, my next level of shapes. We might start going in and start adding more circular shapes if we get to that point in the drawing, which we haven't got to that point yet. And we don't want to limit ourselves. Once we put down shapes of colors, that's a guide. It's a guide, okay? Do not then after go and get your ink and go around every shape and start tightening your drawing down. We still want to feel free with this. We want to flow with our drawing. We want to feel like this is an expressive feeling that's coming on here with these drawings and paintings. We want to keep that excitement about what we're doing. Otherwise, we're just drawing over lines over some paint marks, and that's not what we're into. Well, I'm not. I'm saying that in a. I mean, I shouldn't say that because you guys might be really into that. That might be your thing. And again, I'm washing down. I will change the water for the next stage. At the moment, my water's kind of a little bit dirty, but at this stage, I'm really happy with it. I'm fine with it. I'm just going to add a little bit of yellow there. And again, that's just going to build up this kind of texture. And that's what's really important for me with adding colors and stuff like that, textures. Now that already for me is starting to feel right. It's a base color. It's not so important, but it's giving me a really lovely, lovely feeling. And you can kind of build it up and as much as you want. That's perfect for me. That's fine. I'm going to kind of rinse that brush through. And the water is still dirty. But the next part is that I'm kind of thinking about something a bit grainy here. And again, when you're thinking of your color, do not just think of color. Try to think of color and texture. Okay? So this is a big, chunky, lovely big shell. And what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to bring in some charcoal. Just this is compressed charcoal. The main reason is that regular charcoal comes in a long, thin stick. And I feel with the charcoal, because I'm a little bit rougher with sometimes I get too passionate with things, that I find that it breaks. And I find that this compressed charcoal stays with me. It stays there to kind of let me have a bit more texture. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to build a stick. We know how to do a stick. And at the end there's going to be a big ball, and that's going to be his head. Underneath we're going to have 4 little sticks, maybe a little stick for a tail, and that is what that's what I'm playing here. And I'm thinking more about shape. The shape of my character is going to be over here. And I'm just kind of putting in a kind of rough idea of where he's going to be. And that is the main secret, if you want to call it a secret, is about trying to think about your colors more in the way of shapes and textures at this point. Once you start to get the highlights and shadows and just blow away the excess, charcoal can get very, very messy. And that's just going to kind of give me a nice soft feeling coming up there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my grey water, which, as you know, is kind of my puke jar, as I call it. Sorry about that, but that's what it's called. And it basically is a jar of everything that builds up in there. When I throw a paintbrush, I've painted something, I throw it in there. That's where it goes. And it's, over time, it's kind of built up this lovely kind of texture about it, and I really love it. And then what I do is I put a little bit of this down, and then I kind of water it out. I really want to get quite a big head on him. And again, I'm not really thinking too much about the character at this point, because I mean, you can, if you're kind of a little bit nervous about it, please think about your character and paint it into a shape. But for me, I'm trying to, I'm trying very, very, very hard. I'm just going to add some water to it. There we are. And what that does is that just loosens out some of the texture in it. It kind of makes it not so strong. And it kind of gives this nice feeling here of it kind of it being a nice kind of big thick neck turtle. And now this is very wet at the moment. It's very, very wet, and it's just, again, I'm just thinking about the actual texture more than anything. I'm trying to give him a nice kind of textured feeling, textured skin. And we can go ahead and do that with the legs. Again, I'm not going to be too precise about anything at this point because I don't really, I mean, it's a nice way to kind of paint in a guide. Kind of make his feet a bit bigger. And I don't want the legs to be as dark as though I might darken up some of the ones, the little two on the far side there a little bit. And let's just give him a little tail as well. Again, we're just kind of thinking of a shape. Now, what you're probably thinking at this point is, why haven't you done the background first? Why haven't you done... Well, because sometimes I like to put my background down in a very loose way that I almost wanted to eat part of my character. And that's very difficult for me to explain. But for the moment, I'm done. And that that is a really, really, really basic guide to what I'm doing. Okay, so that's the basic part of the how I put down color, how I think about shapes, and I'm not really thinking too much about the character because I want that struggle later of finding the color and finding the character, and that will really help me a lot. So I'm just going to leave this to dry, and then we'll come back and we'll do a second part. Okay, so it's only going to dry. It might change a little bit of the colors might dull, or the textures might be a little bit darker and lighter, but all that is doing is drying. Okay, and to go to the next stage I need to let this to dry. Okay, only dry. I'll come back when it's finished and we'll do the next piece. Okay, thank you. Okay, so welcome back. This has now dried, and this is the next stage. I have changed my water. My water is now clean. And we're going to start thinking about what do we want to do with it. Now, as it's dried, this is where you start to analyze it. This has come up too dark. So I'm wondering if I can just soften that down a little bit with the water. And that might just loosen it up. I don't want it to be too dark because I want him to look very old and grey. So that's fine. That's come up really nice. And then we're going to start thinking about around him. What do we want? Do we want a blue sky? We want some blue, maybe some yellow underneath, some green down here, and start to be brave with your color. Okay. And we're just going to fill it in a little bit. And again, don't get too precious about things. This first wash that I'm putting down here is going to be so gentle. It's going to be very, 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 very gentle. And why I want it to be so loose is that I'm going to build on top. This is not the final texture that I want. So I'm going to be very brave, and I'm going to try and I have some little bottles here that when I'm when I'm trying to build an atmosphere, I try to put them down, and sometimes I use this type of kind of spraying technique, and you can use lots of different methods for it. Um, some blue, and I'm just gonna like almost like a kind of airbrush type feeling. And what it does is it gives me a very soft feeling. Now, what I like to do with that is to let it settle in its kind of mood, if you want, whatever kind of feeling that it's coming into, and let that be okay. Be okay with it. Then you can start to build on that. And this is a process of putting it down and stepping back, and putting it down and stepping back. Now, I can see that it's starting to affect some of the orange, some of the purples, but that's fine. I'm okay with it, because the next stage of it is me going to be able to put some of the inks into it. And let's see if I've got a smaller brush here. And what it does for me is it really gives this a little bit of life to it. And by being a little bit brave, and what it's doing is it's kind of giving me this feeling of almost a cloud effect. And what I'm doing is I'm kind of putting this in to the water, and it's not going to be the final stage, because we're basically be going to finding what comes up with this. And already it's starting to give me a texture that I did not think I was going to have, and I'm really beginning to like it. And that's done. Now that is my background atmosphere. It's going to change, and what we're going to do is then we're going to start putting the ink on next. Now, just because it's in that movement, it's beginning to add. And what I'm going to try to do without making a mess, I'm already making a mess, I don't know, but I'm going to put down some green. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and give myself some grassy texture. And again, don't get too overworking on this. Try to feel the painting. Try to feel. I'm trying to stay away from that bleeding down. There it is. It's starting to touch it, and I don't want that. Got it. You got to keep watching. And what happens is that then you start to build up an atmosphere around your drawing, and that's really important. And a lot of people don't talk about this. They talk about rules. Don't do this. Make sure you put this in. Make sure you do this. And I feel with all these rules, it starts to make me feel like I can't do this. I can't add that. I can't do this. I can't do that. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do that. And all this time I'm putting down all these rules in my mind. I'm afraid. And what I don't want you to be is afraid. I don't want you to be worried about putting something down that it might be wrong. Oh my God. Well, who cares? This is going to dry. And when it dries, the picture will tell me what it's going to be. I'm not going to be telling it nothing. I'm going to be saying, I would like to paint a tortoise. Right. And in my hand, I've got this old kind of wrinkly tortoise. And that's what's important for me, to kind of get this old tortoise going for a walk. And we're just going to loosen that off, keeping it very loose. And that is absolutely gorgeous. Now, a lot of people will be looking at this, and a lot of people are saying, what a hell of a mess you've made. And yeah, fair play. I mean, it is a mess. But I am now waiting for my painting to dry. I am now waiting for this next stage where I can let loose with the dark and the light, the ink and the white, and building up this character who's going to be this old tortoise. And I need to let the paint settle. I need to let that find the story in it. And if I don't like this blue after, then I can start to fix it. I can start to put in some big white clouds or whatever. But I'm also leaving a white band here because I'm trying to bring up some yellow, and I would like to bring in that a little bit later on. So this is basically stage 2. So VR, this is where you need to be patient. And what I generally do is I have 4 or 5 paintings going at the same time. Don't get so obsessed that it's not drying, it's not drying, it's not drying, it's not drying. That you don't want to be thinking like that. I'm just going to dab out some of those that's coming in a little bit too much into my tortoise shell. Won't matter anyway, but I'm just... And when you're painting one painting, then you get so nervous. You get so, why is it not drying? Why is it not drying? It's still damp, it's still wet. Well, that's the time when you need to get away from it. You need to take this picture and you need to put it somewhere to dry. And then you need to take a new piece of paper and start worrying about this new drawing that you're doing, this new image, this new painting, this new texture, this new character, and start to panic about that, start worrying about that, start thinking about that and having fun with this. And then once you've got to a good stage with it, put that on the side and come back to this. And this is going to dry, and it's going to give you an incredibly beautiful feeling, because you're going to pick it up, you're going to put it down, you're going to, oh wow, look at the way that's dried, look at the way this is dried, oh I want this, I want that. So be patient, okay? We're going to take another little break now. I'm going to put this on the side, we're going to dry it, and we're going to come back and we're going to put some ink, alright? And then we're going to have some real fun. This is just the basic, this is just putting down some things. And don't be worried about making a mistake. Sometimes mistakes, sometimes accidents, as I like to call them, accidents are beautiful. Sometimes accidents, something you didn't mean to do, a kind of accident, will be so much more beautiful than anything you could plan. And we just got to accept it. So we're going to go away, we're going to let it dry, and we'll come back again in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. All right? Hang in, I'll come back. Okay, so we're back now with a very dried out, or mostly dried out. You can see how very, very different that has looked. It's kind of, some of the whites, the lighter parts seem to have evened off. Although it hasn't got darker, what it seems to have done is it seems to have evened off. Whereas the water is kind of soaked into everything, and it's kind of given this nice even blotched. It's slightly affected the edge of our turtle or tortoise, turtle, whatever. And this is still a little bit dark, but we're going to try and somehow lighten this down a little bit. Maybe I'll kind of put some deeper black and then some highlights onto it. So we're ready to pretty much have fun. Okay, it's just dried out, there's nothing special about it, but it's given us a really nice base for us to start to work on. And this is really where you relax. You've got a base color, and the base color is something you're going to build on. And this is where we can just start to have fun. This is where we can start to put down some of our ideas, and we're just gonna feel the paint wherever this paint has kind of left us some kind of bumps and lumps. We're gonna enjoy them, and we're just gonna start to put our character on, and we're gonna really enjoy every little line that we put down. And we're not thinking too much about color now. Color's forgotten about for now. What we're going to start doing is we're just going to start thinking about our ink, and only our ink. Do not start to think about, oh, I should have done that with color, or blah 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 blah. We can all add all those thoughts in later on, and that is the magic of it. The magic of it is concentrating only on what you're doing, nothing else. If you start thinking about the color and start thinking, well, I should have done this, you're going to mess up. Concentrate one thing at a time, like we did with our shapes. We're here, we are just thinking about our line. We're thinking about what our little turtle character is going to look like, and we're going to just have some fun. The color we can adjust, the color we can add, the color we can go in, and if we're any unhappy with anything later on, we can go in and start messing around with it and adding to it and subtracting from it. And we're going to start kind of thinking up some kind of turtle shapes. And that's where all we're doing now. We're just trying to think of, at the moment, just think about what does a turtle shell look like in your imagination, in your mind. Not how it looks in real life, but just how do you feel it looks. And what it's doing is I'm gone from being rounds here, and I'm starting to kind of section it off a little bit more. And this is really starting to feel fun. And you know, the more you kind of start thinking about things that you should be doing, and you'll lose it. And we will start to go in, and we will start to add some little effects and little thoughts as we go. But the more we enjoy it, the better this picture is going to be. And the less we worry about what we did with our color, what we didn't do with our color, the better. Because we've still got so much we can still do with our color. You know, we're not under any rule here. We're not under any kind of, this has to be this has to be. This is our picture. And this is our turtle. This is our whatever you want to tell yourself. And this is starting to become very, very beautiful. I always kind of find that the less I worry about things, the less I kind of just take enjoyment of what I'm actually doing, and enjoy every single line that I put down, the more I will love the drawing at the end. And the more I kind of panic about it and worry about it, the least I will like this drawing at the end. And that's a very, very important part of this journey of getting in and drawing something, is about following your heart, following your feelings. kind of making this old kind of gnarly tail that he's got there. And that's already starting to feel nice. That's already starting to take shape. And a turtle's got these kind of big, kind of chunky toenails. So we can kind of enjoy drawing those. And again, you know, as we're starting to divide the colors, you see that we're starting to divide the toenails will be a slightly different color to the actual foot, and the toenails and the foot will be a different color. That's just us adding something to it. That's just us adding our feeling. We haven't really gone in there and added too much detail to it. But we know that this character, we want him to be nice and old feeling. So we're adding in some of these wrinkles and stuff like that. And we can always go back in and add something to these later on. We can add some highlights to them, and we can even put a little bit more color in there and have a difference. But at this moment, all we're thinking about is each individual shape and part that we come across. And we don't want to think too much ahead. We need to really free up our mind and control our mind to how we're enjoying the process. Not so much about, is that line that I drew perfect? At this point, we are not interested. Okay? Every line is beautiful in my mind. Every single line I'm putting down is beautiful. And that is where I want you to get to. I want you to enjoy the sound of the nib. Enjoy the splash of the ink and every single stage of it. Or if you're doing it nice and neat and tidy, then enjoy that also. Enjoy how neat you've made your line. How pretty you've made that shading. Enjoy every single part of your drawing. Not mine, yours. I want you to put down every little... If you're doing it in pencil crayon, if you're doing it in colored pencils, when you're shading it in, enjoy every single stroke that you put down, because it will make you love your picture more. You will begin to love the process of your drawing more. Now for me, that sound of the nib is a beautiful, gorgeous, almost sexy sound. It's just absolutely fantastic, because it's given this energy to me. It's kind of making me feel like there's power in each stroke. And I love that. I love how this energy fills me. Beautiful. And that's really big chunky feet down there. And we haven't even got to his head yet. We haven't even got to the part where most people would start. You know, people are so obsessed about, what does he look like? What does his face look like? What is his expression like? All of this, they're worrying already. They have forgotten to enjoy all of this. We've drawn the body, we've enjoyed the body, and we're still doing it, and we're loving every minute of it. And you have to love the process as much as the final piece. It's very, very important. Enjoy how you draw your lines on, and you draw the wrinkles on his legs and stuff like that. It's just like, it's going to make you so happy when you look at it later on and you think, oh, look at that, look at this, oh, I love that, I love the way this happened. And I try and get that in a bit. and I'm really happy with it. I'm really, 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 really happy how the legs have come up. How's that looking for you? How are you looking at it? You know, if you're worried about things, you can kind of start to think maybe about some, you can start to take some of your white and you can start to give things a little bit of highlights or something if you're starting to get nervous, but generally I wouldn't. Generally I would just touch it. Generally, whenever you come up with something and you feel something, then quiet yourself down. If you're worried about highlights on his, do those do those bumps and lumps on his shell, do they look round enough? Well, go in and put something down there to calm your heart, okay? But you don't need to. You just need to feel it. There you go. Hope that's calmed you down about adding something to it and making it lively, making it beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. And that's all we want to do. Right, now we're getting to this stage where here. I have no idea. I have no idea what I am going to be doing here. But already I'm in love with this. You know? Let's get in there and do a little some highlights on the toes. Might give us some extra things to worry about. Oh, dear, dear, dear. And this is just so much fun, just feeling our way. And I really hope you're having as much fun as I am with this. I hope you're drawing along with me. I hope you're drawing something, even if it's not a turtle. You could be drawing a dinosaur if you want. But draw something, just don't sit and watch. And I want you to feel what you're drawing. Because that's where all the magic comes from it. If you're enjoying the journey of this and you get to the end of it and you think, oh, I loved painting that. I loved it. And then somebody comes along and says, hey man, I want to buy that. How much is it? And you say, well, it's 10 zillion squillion pound. And they say, yeah, cool, I'll have it. Well, great. That's an extra bonus. But you are the one who had that journey of drawing this. You had that amazing feeling. Nobody else did. Right, I'm going to try and put in some eyes here. I'm not quite sure where but I'm just going to try and. Now, I like the idea of this kind of being a big kind of lip or something here. So I'm going to try and give him some big squirrely whirly eyes. That's nice. Don't forget you've got another 5 tools here. You don't just have a paintbrush and a nib. You've got these 5 gorgeous things at the end of your hand called fingers, and get your fingers in there if you want to. Get them in there and just start to put some thoughts in there and start thinking, oh, maybe his cheek is down there, and you get in there and start rubbing it around, and you know, look at that. I mean, how good does that feel? Just rubbing that in. Maybe put another bit there, whatever. Let's just try and bring that down into that. And what it's doing is it's just getting you into it, getting into this journey of it. Excitement is what we're looking for here. And a nice thick white paint is always nice to have on the side, because once you put your next set of highlights on here, we can go in after. We can start adding some color into it. Just little details. We can maybe put a little bit of highlight on this side and a little bit of shadow color on this bit, putting more of the reds in there, and we can build this up. And that part, well, I mean, that's not really what the question was, but so hopefully some of you people that were a little bit nervous about or a little bit unsure of what kind of secrets I was having and what kind of amazing things I wasn't showing, you know, I want to show you. So, if there's anything that you see and you think, oh, what was that? What was that? What was that kind of big secret thing that he done there that we didn't see? Just let me know. I'm very happy to go in and show you everything that I did. I've got no secrets. Well, I've got secrets, but not about drawing. I'm a secret lunatic, that's for sure. We're going to make his eyes a little bit off, just to kind of give him a little bit of a comical feeling to it. Maybe we could even put in some little glasses for him. Glasses are always a nice little touch on old kind of, when you're thinking of old characters. Look at that, that's lovely, that. And then we'll draw another glass on that side there, just so. I love the way that because he hasn't got any ears, they just kind of swirl off. And it's starting to feel, we're just kind of building this character up, and it's really lovely feeling. Oh, that's a little bit too thick. Let's not get too thick with the ink, especially when we're up doing these little details. Let's just suck that off. Sometimes I just drop a tissue into it, just drop it in, and it will suck all the ink up into it. And we're just going to add some nice little effects to it. And there you go. You know, if you start to get a little bit nervous about your glasses, and the glasses not having any kind of glass feeling to them, you can get in there and just put a little bit of white there, just to kind of give it some shape and some feeling. And you can touch that up later on with your ink. And you've got a little bit of, because I can hear you guys panicking. I can hear you thinking, oh, what about the glasses? The glasses are grey, and well, don't worry about it. We'll fix that. You know, gotta keep this thing in your mind that this is your drawing, and every single thing in this drawing is yours. And we're gonna start getting some nice kind of big wrinkly parts. I really want to have this nice kind of wrinkly old turtle. Lovely. Ooh, how's that looking to you? Are you liking it? Is it looking beautiful for you? Once that's dried, we can go back down there. We can draw those glasses back in. Lovely. And he's starting to have this really kind of beautiful old man feeling to him. And what's beautiful about this is we have no idea what he's going to look like until that ink hits that paper. Then we can start to imagine, oh, how he's like this and what's like this, and that really has a nice feeling to it. Just checking that my camera's still moving, so I'm starting to find sometimes my camera kind of switches off on me. It's like, what's all that about? And since I'm kind of doing everything very, very quick, I don't really want to lose parts of it, and then I come back and it's like half the drawing's done, you know. It's like, I'm very pleased with that. And I'm just going to try and put some little kind of wrinkles in his mouth, just to kind of give him that very old wrinkly lips type of feeling to it. Maybe even a couple onto his bottom lip. I'm kind of feeling that it would be nice to kind of give him a little beard or something there too, just to kind of show his age a little bit. Not that beards have anything to do with age, but lovely. Whew, I'm liking that. I'm liking that a lot. What do you think? Giving him some little spots on his face. How beautiful does that sound? We're trying to just kind of have this lovely old wrinkly neck, and we're just going to have a bit of fun with that. I'm just going to draw some nice wrinkly lines in there. Oh, I like that. That is looking so nice. Now as you're at this point here, you can start to see that there's a few little things that you want to pick up on. I'm starting to see a little bit of a few little areas where things have not really worked, especially up here on the top, on his above his eyebrow. The blue has come in too much onto the grey, so I'll touch that up a little bit. I'd like to have a little bit more dark and light on his face, and but apart from that, I think it's starting to feel beautiful. I'm very, very pleased with it. And once that dries down, I would like to bring in a little bit of yellow, but I really want to do that as a last moment thing. So That's lovely. Just putting in a bit of feeling to it. Lovely. Now I'm very happy with that. I'm very happy with it. And what I will do is I will go in, like I said, I want to put a little bit more shadow, like highlight and shadow. I want to put in a little bit more reds around that. My black here is a little bit too wet for it to do that. I'll put in a little bit more of the grey. My puke grey, I'll put a little bit more shadow on certain areas. And that for me has got every single thing about a beautiful painting. Now there's a few little things that we need to touch up. There's a few little things that we need to go in and kind of make it pretty for the other person. But for me, that's gorgeous. That whole journey that I've had there, drawing that and feeling that, and perhaps starting over here and coming all this way and having all this fun and doing all this with our ink and enjoying the feet and everything else, and then we don't even know what he looks like yet. And then the final moment, bang, bang, he's there and he's looking at us. Some old turtle who's just kind of walking along in the day in this lovely blue sky. So that's absolutely gorgeous. So the final stage, if you'd like to see the final stage, will be me just going in and adding up a few little highlights and colours just to kind of bring it up and warm it up now that the ink is going to dry. Alright? So hopefully VR, you're there. Hopefully everything is there. All the secrets are out. That's just a little basic drawing of a little character. But there's a lot of info there. There's a lot to soak up. So, last part, I'll go in and I'll add some little details. Okay? But we're pretty much there. Thank you very, very much. Okay, so we have the last couple of minutes. And the last couple of minutes is just kind of touching in where you feel it needs a little bit of highlight, a little bit of shadow, anywhere that you feel could kind of benefit from small details. And I'm just kind of adding a little bit of shadow in where I feel it needs around the mouth. I'm just using that nice and soft with my finger. Touching in around the eyes where I find it kind of would like that to be a little bit darker, especially under the eye. And again on that side. I will also highlight it'll highlight the glasses a little bit more too, and that's pretty much up there where I want to be. Again, just darken around with that. Again, just kind of giving me some water. I'm kind of feeling that I need a little bit more of a shadow underneath. Trying not to disturb my ink, but just to kind of give me a little bit more of a feeling of a shadow, you know. And that's just touching up these little bits. And there's nothing really technical at this point. It's more taste. Okay, more taste. What you feel it needs. Maybe a little bit of shadow under that front foot. Maybe even with the back foot. Just to kind of give it the feeling that he's walking. These little details will make the difference. Again, well, I was thinking about a colour for that, wasn't I? So let's just get a brush. Let's just take a small clean one. And let's just see, I was thinking maybe a little bit more of a kind of a brown type of colour for the toenails. And just to try and kind of bring them a little bit more kind of different to the actual body colour, which is a lovely little touch. Just something that it kind of I wasn't so happy about at the beginning. And again, I would just kind of bring up some of the red in some of those, like we did before. We were kind of going in and kind of adding some more reds to one side, trying to give it a little bit more life, a little bit more kind of texture, and don't get too heavy with it. Keep bleeding it in. I love to do that. I love to kind of keep everything very, very wet. It's, for me, it adds a lot of texture to it when you're doing that. And I hope this has helped. I hope this has kind of brought some life into some of those areas where you probably weren't so sure, and maybe you kind of felt maybe that I hadn't explained properly. And I'm really hoping, please send me a comment if it's helped, if there's anything that you didn't understand. Most of these lessons are not about learning my way to do things, but more about opening your mind to some of the possibilities that you might find, that you might enjoy more than some of the styles maybe that you're working on at the moment. I know that, when I start to look at other artists, I start thinking, wow, how did he do that? And that's interesting, the way he's done, wow. And it kind of brings in some little ideas more. And the biggest idea I want you to take from this is there's no rules. You make up the rules in your own artwork. You can take advice from people. You can say, oh, I like the way he's done that, or I like the way he's done that. But this is all about you. And this is all about finding what you like to look at, what you like to see. And that comes up really quite nice from my eye. And I'm very happy with that. So, I really, 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 truly hope that has helped you massively. The couple of things that I was talking about is I wanted to kind of bring in some yellow in there, and I'm just spraying that in gently just to kind of lift it up a little bit, kind of just raise the colors up, so it kind of gives me a little bit of an early morning feeling there behind him. And that helps a lot in my way of thinking. Sometimes I like to just kind of to do this just to pick up a little bit. Again, that's just giving me a little bit of more on the shadow for that. And that I'm very happy with. That I think is a beautiful picture. I hope you've learned some things. I hope you've opened your mind to possibilities. Don't need to just follow what I've done, but to think about it. Just to see what would be exciting if you did this and if you tried this. And so thank you very, very, very much for watching. This is pretty much the final drawing. The only thing missing is me to put my name on it. Keep those blobs. Keep dabbing it whenever you see things just bleeding too much. And that's just a possibility of just kind of watching your drawing, watching where things are happening. Anything that you don't like the look of, control it. Okay? So I will sign this when it's really dry because I'm worried about it bleeding out. That's the final drawing today. I hope you've learned lots of things. Thank you, VR, for your question and for your constant support. Hope to see you again soon on another video. Thank you very, very, very much, and I'll see you again very soon. As always, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a close-up. There he is. Look at that. Gorgeous. Look at all the way that's bled everywhere. All our colours down into around the legs. How that brown toenails has made such a difference. Still very wet, so it will dry a little bit more dull. But that is our beautiful finished image. Thank you very, very, very much for coming today, and thank you for spending your time with me. I know you have precious time, you're a busy artist, so thank you very, very, very much. See you again soon.